Hey guys, Mike here with you today, and today I'm going to be doing another review. This is going to be on a Google device. It's the Google... Oh god, stop listening. Hey Google, stop listening.
Sorry, I can't do that. To mute the mic, use the mic mute button or switch.
Okay, so I'm going to... I think that's something that everyone with a smart device, whether it's GOOGLE or ALEXA, can relate to. Um, Basically, the Google Home Hub is a really cool idea, and it could... I just caught myself and I had to kind of glance to see if it was listening. So it could be an essential part of a smart home. It really could. But considering the problems that I've had with it, the relatively little amount that it can do, and the price tag, which is standard at $150, right now, I would say pass on it. However, let's go into some more detail. So, a while back, my wife got a new job with a much longer commute. Me being the, awesome husband that I am, I decided that I wanted to do whatever I could to make her commute, easier, faster, more pleasant in any way, shape, or form that I could. We already had a couple of the GOOGLE mini speakers, and when we started using this room as an office, I figured it maybe was an opportunity for me to help out with a gadget. So I saw an ad for the Google Home Hub, and I decided to go ahead and get it. My first impressions on the device were actually really good. The device itself is a little bit smaller than I initially thought. Just to kind of give you a size comparison, this is a Samsung Note 9 that I have everything typed up on. But just to give you an idea of the size, it's not much bigger than a premium type cell phone. But while it was a little bit smaller than I thought it would be, the size is actually perfect. It fits really well on like a nightstand, anything like that, as well as a desk. It doesn't really slide much, except on this desk it's cheaper wood, to be honest, with yeah. But for the most part it doesn't slide around a lot, even though it's not overly heavy. It also doesn't really tip over easily. And the microphone slider and the volume keys, which are on the back of the device, I'm going to zoom in on those a little bit later, are light enough that you can manipulate them with just a finger without having to brace yourself on the screen itself. So you can't really see it too well, but I'm adjusting the volume and everything. The speakers are pretty good quality. They get loud without any real distortion. The screen is also high quality. I'm going to kind of go in on that. I'm going to do a little bit of a close-up for part of this. The screen, nice and sharp, bright. YouTube videos look really good on it. That's one of the cool things that you can do with it is Chromecast ready, so you can cast stuff like YouTube videos directly from your phone or your computer or tablet, laptop, whatever. That definitely comes in handy if you want to have something playing in the background but not on your main computer, or if you're using it for a tutorial or something. For example, I have this in my office, but if I needed a tutorial in my workshop or something, I could very easily set it up so that I could use it as a mini screen if for whatever reason I didn't want to have my phone out or something like that. The actual setup was really quick and easy. The power cord is all in one, meaning it's not USB, and the Google Home Hub has only the one plug on it, so there's not really a way that you can plug it in incorrectly. Um, then, yeah, it's pretty easy to set up, especially if you already have other Google Home devices. It connects automatically to your account, downloads voice information like voice recognition, login for the applications and everything. Actually does that very nicely, and it did it pretty quickly as well. It did integrate very quickly with the system I already have set up, which is basically some of those mini speakers that I mentioned previously and some smart lighting. The device does work with voice commands, but it also, for smart lighting, Nest thermostat, that kind of thing, it does give you the option to change everything on the screen, which again I'll be showing later. It also lets you dim the lights, change the color, etc., and works with the rest of the Google Assistant suite, including my personal favorite, shopping list. A lot of people don't know this, but if you tell your speaker add blank to the shopping list, it'll actually do it. And I'm lazy, so that definitely helps out. Now, for the bad parts. I'm gonna do a little bit, talking like this, just you and me, and then I'm gonna, bring the camera in a little bit closer to take a couple of looks at the device closer up. So, the downsides. Well, first let me finish with what it can do. Part of the Google Assistant suite is commute time. So, one thing that you can do is you can actually have it set up routines, where you give it a specific command or or at a specific time it'll start displaying reading off stuff such as commute, the weather forecast, the current weather, news, all cool stuff. That was a creepy sounding door opening. So, the downside, let me start with that. So, the news. Trying to think of how to say this reasonably politely. I'm more of a conservative person. That said, the Google News selections definitely leave something to be desired. You don't have the option of adding your own RSS feeds or your own websites for it to aggregate from or anything like that. You get to pick what Google has to offer. What I'm not a fan of is your selections are CNN, NBC, CBS, and for some reason, Trevor Noah. Now, not getting into politics, I'm just not a fan. So there's, I think out of all of the selections that they had available for all different types of news, there were literally 2 from Fox. Again, that's my personal preference. I'm not, don't get mad at me, basically is what I'm going with. And that kind of seems to be a theme. It's a very cool device, but there are some things missing. And there's some more basic things that I feel like kind of, well, got ignored. So, with that said, let's take a look closer up. Alright, so please do ignore the clutter on my desk. However, here's where I'm going to go more into depth with regards to the device. So as you can see, it does have a nice screen. Here's the thing though. The user interface isn't the most intuitive thing in the world. For example, On every Google device I've ever owned, including my phone, if you want to get to the assistant, you swipe to the left. Or Bixby, because Samsung hates us all. Yeah, no, I'm not setting Bixby up, ever. On this, if you swipe to the left, it brings up the clock. Come on. And that's right, you don't swipe right to get back, you tap the screen. So what happens if you swipe right? Nothing. If you want to get to the main thing, you have to actually tap. See what I mean about that not really making sense? Notifications. Nope. But this is where it, lets you switch your lights and everything, so you can do lights off, on. It does give you the option to change the color, the brightness, everything on board, which is pretty cool. God, like I said, the user interface, not the most user-friendly. To get to the settings, you pull up from the bottom. It does have a do not disturb. Because you can actually receive phone calls and video calls and everything with Google Duo on this. So, the other problem that I have is the lighting is good, right? But the ambient light, not so much. Now, right now it looks fine because it is bright in here. However, when it's nighttime, this is virtually black. Like, you can't see it. You can't see the outline of it. If you want to touch this thing, you probably won't be able to find it. That's kind of a thing for me. Now, NBD, but if you turn it on to just the first setting, comparatively, it feels kind of like a small child just learned how to, turn your flashlight on, and is insisting on showing it to you, even though you're trying to sleep. At least comparatively speaking. Like, you can either have it very, very dark to where you can't really see it, or you can never sleep again. Take your pick. Now, the two biggest issues. Number one. Now, this might seem like I'm nitpicking because it's a power cord, right? Well, here. Seriously? Every time. Okay, so that was kind of a pain. That did not come out easily. And every time I unplug it, I'm a little worried I'm about to rip it off. However, here's the charger for it. Now, you might notice that's not a USB cable. That's not a micro USB. That's not a mini USB. That is not a USB Type-C. That's some random cable that is actually proprietary. What does proprietary mean? So, a proprietary cable means that that cable works for that device and that device alone. If something happens to that cable, like let's say you have cats, like I do, and let's say that those cats like to chew on cables sometimes, especially when they're cheap ones. Let's say that you're unable to repair the damage that your cat did to the charging cable. You can't buy one. I looked. You cannot find another charging cable. So, if you want to make use of your $150 Google Home Hub and you lose the power cable or something happens to it, you're SOL. I am never a fan of that type of engineering. Ever, ever, ever. Especially because USB-C and micro USB are so ubiquitous and so cheap, I can't imagine to save them enough money to justify it. It's a really weird decision. Now, why did I have to unplug it so often, you ask? Well, let's go back to Facecam. one thing that I ran into with the Google Home Hub was that I had to reset it a decent amount. And there's not a reset button. There's, well, let me, yeah, there's not a reset button. There's not a power off switch. There's not a power off option. If you want to turn the device off, you have to unplug it. Now, the reason why that's a thing is because I, and apparently numerous other people, have been having problems with the networking on this device. Basically what happens is it randomly will just display a setup on the home screen. If I try and give it any type of command, it will tell me that it was unable to locate my wireless network and prompt me to go into the Google Home app to set it up. Keep in mind, at this point, everything else in my house has been working perfectly without any hiccups or anything like that. In some cases, it will tell me this while I'm actually like streaming something on YouTube over my wireless network. So obviously not an actual networking issue. The problem is how frequently this occurred. It occurred at least once every 24 hours, and still does. And it honestly seemed to happen mostly at night when I would need to use it to turn off my lights. Only to be told, nope! The whole point of this was so that, you know, it would make life easier on my wife. And instead I have to like climb over her to get to the outlet so that I can unplug it. Plug it back in. Yeah. So anyway, that's basically what happened. And after a reset, it would reconnect to the network, everything would be fine, but it randomly happened. I did get in touch with Google about it. It does appear to be some kind of a known issue that they're working on, and I've also seen it in a couple of other reviews that people are having the same type of problem. I sent in all of my information about 4 or 5 days ago, and I haven't heard anything back as far as like a fix. But again, it does sound like it's kind of a known issue. But it, you know, it has been happening since I got it, and considering the issues, the problems that I have with the build quality, I really can't recommend this for like a $150 device. The other thing that I thought was very strange was I wasn't able to find this device on Amazon, like at all. You can buy screen protectors for it, but I got mine at Walmart. Not sure why it's not on Amazon, if they have some kind of a deal with another manufacturer or something. I don't know. But that's the Google Home Hub. That's my impressions of it. Personally, like I said, I would hold off on it for now. With one caveat, if you have a bunch of smart home stuff, then it might actually be worth it. For example, I know that it does also integrate with the Nest system, so if you have one of those Nest doorbells, it does actually display on there as well as the Nest security cameras, which is pretty cool. But for the average person, honestly, I'd say just get like a Google Home Mini, in all honesty, unless you really, really want the screen, in which case, you know, it's your money. Like I said, for me, it just seems a little expensive right now. But the cool thing is, if you do get it, as the Google Assistant gets better, so will the device. So, that's all for me today. Until next time, Moon and Mike, out.